It's just black cherry Kool-Aid, but I always put a little splash of lemon juice in the Kool-Aid. It's just good.
Oh, weird.
No, it's good.
Oh, weird.
No, it's not good. It's not weird at all. It's good. But I just brushed my teeth, so made it very bitter. But I mean, really, it's just down here so that if I
is there anything that tastes better after you've brushed your teeth?
No, that's very true. Although I think if you ate something minty after you brush your teeth, I think it would amplify the mint. Like, I'd be curious to brush my teeth and then eat some mint chocolate chip ice cream. I think that might be good.
I think that's a good experiment, but I feel like it might amplify the mint to an uncomfortable level.
Well, I mean, that's
to a painful level.
That's a matter of personal preference. Some people like strong mint. So anyway, what I was going to say before we started recording, but I wanted to wait because you and that other guy, I forgot his name. Now I feel bad.
Brady.
I've never met the guy. So yeah, anyway, I heard you and Brady at the end of the show last week making fun of me for this. So I just want to say that I did buy a cough button, and I have it.
Really? I wasn't making fun of you. I was just saying that you didn't have one. Yeah. And that was like the main reason you gave for not wanting to do it. You were just like, I don't want to do it because I don't have a cough button.
Because I feel like I already have a tendency to like need to like clear my throat and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of like go like this and just like cover the microphone with my hand, which does like a really half-assed job. But see, now if I have to cough, I can just push this button. So there you go. See, that's what I don't want to do. But
I mean, I could do a cough, but I'd have to like way down there.
Oh yeah, there's not a. I'm surprised there's not a thing on the Zoom like a mute button or something. But
yeah, it seems like there would be. Well, I mean, I don't have a mute button, and I'm not using the Zoom, so it's okay.
But anyway, speaking of Brady, I'll just say, in case he listens to this, thank you for sitting in for me.
Yeah.
And because I'm sure you didn't say anything, thank you again to Greg Seward for sitting in for you.
Well, I want to say thank you to Greg Seward. Now.
Well, yeah. You should have last week, but okay.
It was funny because I think a lot of people at first, Greg and I look a little similar. And I think that people, like, they could have mistaken him for me. Or,
I don't know if I'd go that far, but if somebody, if I didn't know either one of you and you said, oh yeah, we're brothers, I don't think I would question it.
Yeah. It's funny because I look like several people, and my wife always says like, oh,
who are the other people that you look like according to?
Well, I mean, I think that to an extent, like I could be like brothers.
Oh, all right.
Is like, I've said like Caleb Pike, like I feel like I could be.
Oh yeah.
Like I look like I could be related to Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter.
Yeah.
And I think that the first thing that made her think that was Jason from Game Tech US, who's like, the modder, does like modding, and he's like been in our Analog Frontier series.
Yeah. I can't bring up his face in my
he looks
like you, according to you, yeah.
Yeah. We look like we could be related. So are you feeling like a little bit like fairly decent at this point? Like,
yeah,
like maybe in the at least in the 80 percentiles.
Oh yeah. It's just it's like a nagging. Like once I start coughing, I like can't stop.
Yeah.
It's just like my lungs just feel itchy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I just feel like I run out of energy.
Yeah, that was my big thing.
Like I
just got so tired by the end of the day.
Yeah, like I don't get that shortness of breath stuff or anything like that. Like I'm not. I don't go up the stairs and I'm sucking wind or anything like that. But
right,
I'm not normally like a nap person. But like right now, it's like by the time it's like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I'm like falling asleep.
Close your eyes for a little bit.
Yeah, which I mean I don't mind that at all. But yeah, I mean it's been an adventure. I got to stay home from work for like 2.5 weeks. So, it's nice that I'm, privileged to be able to do something like that.
Right. What did you do with your time though? I mean, I saw you beat Quackshot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first week I would say I did nothing. I felt the whole first week I just really felt like ass. So I mean, I just stayed in bed the entire time and watched YouTube videos. I rewatched the whole Band of Brothers series.
Oh wow!
Because I mean, you kill 10 hours doing that. You know.
Yeah.
I watched for the first time. I watched Rambo 3.
Really?
Yeah, because that's, spoilers or whatever, but I have it right here.
That's the one that's dedicated to the brave people of Al Qaeda at the end, right?
I said the brave people of Afghanistan, not Al Qaeda. But,
right, but it's
that was supposed to be. It's still gonna be, but it's gonna be a few weeks late. That was supposed to be the next episode of Weekend Rental. Was Rambo 3 for the Genesis?
Yeah,
and I already talked about that game. I did that Sega Genesis in 1989 video. And but I've never seen the movie, and I felt like, how can you talk about a game based on a movie if you haven't seen the movie? Like, I can't comment on whether or not the game even follows the plot of the movie. So makes me a disingenuous content creator. So anyway, so I watched that. Oh, because plus it was on at the time it was on HBO Max, which is now just Max.
For some reason. I mean, we talked about that last week about how, they just made it so that it's impossible to find out, do a search for your app, because that's such a general word.
It's so stupid. It's like if YouTube changed, we're going to change our name to just Tube. But anyway, so I watched that movie. It's very bad.
It's not great.
Opinion.
I had a soft spot for it because at the time, I saw it in the theater. Yeah. My dad took me to see that movie in the theater, and it's fine, but it's the only one that I remember nothing about, except for when he's F him.
Yeah, because it's very forgettable, that movie.
And he runs into he rams into the helicopter.
Yeah,
with the tank.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of cool, but just overall, it just the whole plot line and everything. It wasn't laid out proper. I don't know. It's weird, because Rambo First Blood Part 2, I'm not saying that's high class cinema, but it's a good action movie. But
yeah,
Rambo 3, I just felt like, who wrote this? And
it was not James Cameron.
No, I could tell you that matter of factly. But
so if you've never seen Rambo 3, have you seen just Rambo, the sequel?
No.
Oh, you should. That one's pretty good.
Oh, all right. I'll watch it.
It's so absurdly violent.
Oh, I don't.
That it's.
But I mean, it's not it's not like Saw, Hostile, Human Centipede kind of violent, right?
No, it's
not like Sicko stuff.
It's visceral. Here's the actual damage that guns and weapons of this caliber could actually do to people.
All right. Well,
and there's so much buildup in it, that when he finally goes crazy, it's
all right.
It's almost therapeutic.
I'll check it out,
because you want really horrible things to happen to the villains, the bad guys in that movie.
Yeah.
And when it does, it's oh, now you've done it.
Yeah. All right. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you saw on various social medias there that I beat Quackshot. That took me several days, actually, I'm ashamed to say. But I would just I would get frustrated and just pause the game. But I was playing it on the Mister. Mm-hmm. So, and Quackshot, you can't save your game. There's no password or there's nothing, right? And so my Mister was on for a good 4 or 5 days straight without ever being turned off. So that's fine. But really good game. I mean, I talked about it on the show before, but I hadn't actually beaten it until yesterday. But
yeah. It's one of those games that I think that it takes a little while to get into, because I think it's kind of obnoxious. The early on, the plunger gun, I thought was kind of obnoxious. It was just not just the way that it only stuns enemies, right?
Yes.
And it's just weird how it works, I guess. And that kind of soured me on the game when I first played it, but then I came back to it probably about a year after it came out and finished it.
Yeah, I mean, I
really
don't.
like
It's
that.
just like, for anybody out there who doesn't know, like your main weapon that you have unlimited ammo of is a plunger gun that shoots like a full sized bathroom plunger, and you hit
And the
enemies
gun is
with
like
it.
tiny.
Yeah,
It was just funny.
and you hit enemies with it, and they get stunned for like, I don't know, 5 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
But
So
there's
you just run through
also
'em.
there's two secondary guns. There's a bubble gun, which has limited ammo, which is kind of ironic compared to a bulky item like a bathroom plunger. And then you have a shotgun, but it's a kid's game, right? So it's not a shotgun; it's a corn gun. And so you pick up these ears of corn, and then it's like I think it's called a popcorn gun. And then you're shooting, but it's like unpopped popcorn kernels at people. But the game is like really chintzy with the popcorn ammo. And then the other thing I don't like about it is, so when you shoot the gun, it's like a shotgun, like spread weapon. So it shoots like 5 kernels at once. So when you shoot it, your ammo goes down by 5 instead of just by 1. And it's like, why don't you just call that one shot? Like, don't make me do math in my head. Like, when I pause the game and it's like, okay, I got 20 popcorn ammo, units. And then I have to, okay, that means 4 shots, right?
Yeah.
And just say I have 4 shots.
Exactly, because it's not like you can shoot less or more.
Right.
You can't like charge it or something or tap the button and only shoot 2.
Yeah. But I do like the plunger. The plunger's neat. My thing with the plunger is, like, I don't like it as a weapon, but the first upgrade, because you upgrade the plunger gun twice. Mm-hmm. And the first upgrade you get makes it so that the plunger will stick to the wall, and then you can use it to like climb up walls, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And then the second one, which is a little bit stupid, is that you can shoot birds with the plunger gun, like from underneath, so it sticks to like the bird's belly, and then the plunger's hanging down, and then you can jump up and like ride the plunger. Well, you're riding the bird, I guess, but by holding on to the plunger. That's because you only use that in like 2 spots in the game. So, like, was that really necessary? I don't know.
It wasn't necessary. And that makes me wonder if, they had the idea for a lot of the game, and then they realized, like, oh, we got to add a little bit more. How can we, like, make this game like a little, like, have some more meat to it? Let's just do this.
I mean, like I said, I can only think of 2 spots where you use the green plunger. Mm-hmm. And because then, plus, once you have the green plunger, that does all the same stuff as the first 2 plungers. It's not like you have to switch between like the wall plunger and the bird plunger. But I mean, that's kind of nitpicking. I thought the game was really good. Like, I really
does it have unlimited continues?
Yes, thank God, because I used all of them. It's unlimited continues, and I used them all.
Yeah, every last one of them.
And then the other game, I haven't beaten this one yet. You're going to be disappointed, because I wanted to have beaten it before I talked to you about it. But although this one does let you save, so it's okay. I've almost beaten Wonder Boy in Monster World.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I mean, it is.
It's
one of my favorite Genesis games.
I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm a little bit stuck in a spot. It's some boss battle. I forgot which one even.
But it never feels.
But I'll get past it.
I think that one, I guess Monster Boy, if you never played Monster Boy on newer consoles, you absolutely should, especially after playing that.
Yeah.
It's very, very good.
I have like 2 Wonder Boy. Are they Wonder Boy, Monster Boy? I have 2 games for the Switch. One of them you gave me, and one of them I bought somewhere else.
So I think the one I gave you was Asha in Monster World, which is Monster World 4. So it's like, everything gets all crazy.
Sequel to the one that I'm playing. Right.
What you're playing right now, like, doesn't say on the title screen. It says, it just says Wonder Boy and Monster World, but like the Japanese version, because as you know, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but the, like Wonder Boy has 2 series, like it's split off. Like there's like the first Wonder Boy, and then after that was like the Monster World series, and kind of like they're like a side series, and those are all like individually numbered, and I'm pretty sure that in Japan, Wonder Boy Monster World is called Wonder Boy 3 It's called Wonder Boy 5 Monster World 3.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like extremely stupid.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, I've never played that game for more than like a few minutes. And so I'd play the first part and be like, this isn't really my speed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you just played like the first half of the first level, you might think like, yeah, this looks kind of lame.
Right.
And
but
so
once
I'd
you get
never
into
really
the castle,
gotten any.
it's like you have this whole world to go and explore, I guess. Then it's very like almost Metroidvania-esque.
Yeah, but I mean, even before that, I just think even if you if you actually play through the entire first level to the first boss, I think that gives you a much better idea, you know.
Right.
But I think the first time I played that game actually was like on the PC Engine. And
as Dynastic Hero.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I think I was blasting through a bunch of games that I'd gotten for cheap. And I think, you know, there's a lot of games. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are several games in the PC Engine that are very similar to that game. And so I think it's another one of these, and I just kind of moved on to the next one. But so I'm glad I finally sat down and played it. And actually what got me to, so this one incident, which again is thanks to COVID, actually inspired me to do two things. So there's this guy, Josh, that hangs out in my Discord, and he has a website, which is actually a whole separate thing I want to talk about, but he has a website that he doesn't really update anymore. But, you know, it was just, you know, talking about his main interests are, you know, old video games and comics. And so he would just upload articles, not really a vlog or a blog though, like just more of a website where he would write articles about just various things that he felt like writing articles about. And, he mentioned that this Wonder Boy and Monster World game was like one of his absolute favorite, or maybe it was his absolute favorite Genesis game. And I'd say that his tastes in gaming align pretty well with mine. And so when he said that, I was just like, wow, I think I should actually spend some time and, you know, give that game its due or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was feeling well enough that I could go sit in a chair and play games instead of just laying in bed. And so I did that, and that's what got me really into the game. So I hope to finish it soon.
I'm really happy that you're playing it, because that's definitely one of my favorite games on the system.
That's what I'm all about, is making you happy.
I mean, kind of like an open secret, or like a thing that we talk about or we do, and I think that people that know, but you know, that game appears in more episodes of our show than any other.
It's kind of like a MLIG Easter egg, isn't it?
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
where
you're like finding ways to like shoehorn it into the video somewhere. Yeah.
And there's even times where just the cartridge is in the background of a B-roll shot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a fun little thing that we do.
Yeah. What else? Oh, I got my Vita out. PlayStation Vita, which was the battery was like completely, totally dead. Like I had to put in the date and time and everything. Is it a
1000 or a 2000? Is it the one with the OLED screen or the one with the LCD? Okay.
OLED screen. And first thing I got to say, just impressed. That thing's like 10 years old. The battery is still like fine. Like I charged it up, and I think I finally plugged it back into the charger, but I didn't really need to, but it was like halfway drained.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I was kind of worried. I'm like, man, maybe the battery's toast, and I'm only going to get to play for like an hour. But I mean, I was playing that thing for hours, and it was still doing just fine. But I'm like, well, I might as well go ahead and juice it back up.
Yeah, I don't really know what the deal is with like a lot of those, like that era of handhelds. Like they will just. I'm surprised it was dead, because a lot of the era, like that era of handhelds with rechargeable batteries, will hold a charge for a super long time.
Yeah.
Like I think someone was telling me about how they got a Game Boy Micro, like the Game Boy Advance Micro.
Yeah.
And that has a rechargeable battery in it. And it might have been Try mentioning this someplace. And he said that he got that as they were just kind of phasing him out. And he'd never charged the battery. He'd occasionally pop a game into it just to like, you know, get a B-roll shot or something on it.
Yeah.
And like over 10 years later, he's like still on that initial charge that it came with. He's like, crazy. He's never plugged it in. And he said, I think that he said, oh, I had to charge it finally, and I couldn't find the charger And when I eventually found it, it like still had the twisty tie around it.
Wow.
So it had never been used.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, the only game I
like,
played
stuff
on
in the background. And
what's
now all these systems are just like doing so much stuff in the background.
Oh yeah, like if I have to like leave my Switch on the cradle or it goes dead in like no time. And my Switch, like I can't, and I get it, like it's got a way bigger screen and it's more powerful, I assume. So I'm not trying to make a direct comparison, but I can't get as many hours of gaming in on my Switch in handheld mode as I did on my 10-year-old Vita. So I was impressed by that as well. The only game I played on the Vita is I hate it. I'm like one of these people, I guess I'm a Vita hater a little bit, although not really. I mean, like when I got my Vita, I got it. I don't know if you've ever saw, I don't know if this was a Fry's thing or what, but there's this West Coast electronics chain called Fry's Electronics.
That is no longer around.
I don't believe so. I believe they're completely gone now. But
they're the ones that had every single store had a different design to it.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I've been to the one in LA that was like the sci-fi, like 60s sci-fi movie design. That one was really cool. But anyway, I got my Vita there in like, I don't know, like 2013 maybe. And they were refurbished. Like they were selling refurbished. But I mean, they had like stacks of them. They were all in just these white boxes. I don't know where they came from or who refurbished them. I don't know if it was factory refurbished. I wouldn't think so. But
they're probably already phasing it out.
I mean, maybe, because I think that the 2000 might have already been out, actually, by the time I got that. But anyway, the game that I bought with my Vita was whatever the Hot Shots golf game on the Vita is called.
World International, or was it World Invitational?
All right, sure.
So that was the game that I got when I got the system too. Awesome game.
Yes.
It's probably my favorite Hot Shots golf game.
Well, are we counting the latest Everybody's Golf on the PS4?
No, I barely played that. Like I put that in, and I have that. I got it for real cheap.
Yeah.
One time, and I barely played it though.
Okay, I would say that's my favorite Hot Shots has always been just whatever the latest one is, because to me, like the series, just like every installation is just better.
Yeah.
So,
do you think it was a big mistake for them to, adopt the Japanese title of Everybody's Golf? Because I feel like that made it not sell very well.
I mean, I think they should have just gone with that name in the first place. But yeah, I agree that once you like established like this is the brand, here is Hot Shots, why would you not? Like, what was the point of not calling the latest one, the PS4, Hot Shots whatever? Right. I don't really get that. But
it's just easier, maybe less work for somebody.
Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that was like the only game for the Vita I really ever liked, And it's funny, every time I get my Vita out, because I mean the hardware it's awesome. Like it's such an awesome little handheld. And so every time I get it out, I'm like, it's like I forget how awesome it is. And I'm like, I got to get some more games for this thing. And then I'll go look up like lists of like what are the recommended games for the Vita. And it's just like, I'm not saying they're not cool, but I'm not the target audience of any of that stuff. Right. And so, because I even saw somebody on Reddit, like in an old thread that was about recommending games to people, saying like, oh, it drives me nuts when people say there's no good games on the Vita. And it's like, okay, yeah, because there's good games for you. But, compared to like the PSP, like I think I had a way better time with the PSP as far as like the game selection goes. But, the Vita clearly is better hardware.
Yeah.
But I don't even mind. That's why I'm saying I'm not like a Vita hater, because like to me, it's just like a portable Hot Shots golf machine. And I'm like 100% fine with that.
Well, if you want to explore a bit more, it's incredibly easy to hack it now. And you can get like these things that go in the cartridge slot. You just put an SD card on there. And
actually,
use that as
I actually have a couple of those because I bought them thinking like, oh, maybe I'll hack my Vita, or I have I have one of those PlayStation TV things that I've never even taken out of the box because I got it when they were like $20.
Yeah, those are like they're expensive now.
Yeah,
but there's it's been so blown wide open, and I think that you can even just like hack it by going to a website now, and I think that's fairly recent. but you know, you can, that's like Wii style.
Yeah.
Where you can just go to a site and it will just do everything.
But yeah, so it would be cooler to hack that, I guess. But
yeah.
Because I mean, there's some games on there that people are so, fond of, like, oh, this game is so awesome, but then I look at it and just like, I don't, I feel like around that time there was just sort of this shift in like the art style used in a lot of Japanese RPGs, and it just doesn't do it for me. Yeah,
I could see that.
But
I can see that.
But anyway, like I said, I don't even care. I was having an awesome time playing Hot Shots Golf. And then I also got my Switch out, which why I got my Switch out is a whole nother topic that I do want to discuss, though. But I got my Switch out and was mostly trying to play Doom on it, which is a pretty... which is
so you're thinking about it, too.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to be a Doom poser.
No, well, I'm definitely a Doom poser, but I
mean, you're getting it out so that you would hopefully no longer be one.
Well, it's not that. It's just watching that video, which we'll talk about in a second, just made me want to play Doom.
Yeah.
But playing Doom on the Switch is awful. I mean, I'm sure.
I didn't think it was that bad. I just kind of get a...
those little analog nubbins on the joycons, I can't do it, man. And people in my Discord were telling me if you get the Hori, like there's the Hori joycons that you stick on the thing, and it makes it look more like a Steam Deck or something,
right?
Which is fine, but that's like $50. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing is, normally I would just play it plugged into a TV anyways. So like,
Yeah.
But what I ended up doing instead is just installing it on my computer using chocolate Doom.
Oh.
On my Mac.
Chocolate. I got chocolate eruption.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called that, but it's actually really cool, Chocolate Doom. Which also there's Crispy Doom. I don't know if Chocolate Doom is Mac only, but then there's Crispy Doom that definitely works on Windows. But what's cool about
chocolate would be like, isn't it like mocha is what the name of like the...
I have no idea.
Like part of like something like the SDK or something like that on.
I have no idea. But what I like about it is it just like it opens up this little window where you select which game you want to play. And like from there, like you can launch like Doom 1, Doom 2, Final Doom, the Chex Quest, Hexen, I forgot what else. And all you got to do is you go to like archive.org and download the WADs and stick them in a folder somewhere, and you just tell Chocolate Doom where the WADs are. And then that time, anytime you open the program, you just hit the drop-down menu and be like, oh, it's going to be a Final Doom kind of day, and just hit launch, and it launches it. And then plus that interface gives you access to the settings. So if you want to like change the controls, which generally I do, I like using I got too used to the WASD style shooter controls, so that's that and a mouse for me is the way I want to play. So so anyway, I was doing that, playing it on my PC or Mac rather instead. But the last thing before I close the door on the Switch, the last thing I want to say, just because this kind of salted my Kool-Aid. I don't know, maybe I don't play a lot of modern games, so like maybe this is just how it is now and I don't know any better, but a while back I'd purchased I think it's PGA 2K21 for the Switch, just because I love golf games.
Yeah.
But you stick this game in there, and like you have to agree every time. I think every time you play it, you have to agree to some kind of weird privacy policy thing. And then, and then I don't know if it's because I haven't played the game in a while and it got updated, but it's like you have to agree to the terms and conditions again. And then I forgot what the second thing was. So here's the thing. It has this pop-up window where you have to scroll all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
And then hit a button. And you just hold down the thumbstick and wait like 10 seconds at least for it to scroll all the way to the bottom to hit the button. I was already annoyed by that. And then it came up with another one that was something else. And I had to do it again. And then I'm not making any of this up. It came up with a third one. And that was the privacy policy that was separate from the other privacy policy that I had to already agree to. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. And I took the card out of my Switch without even closing the software.
And you just flicked it across the room.
I didn't do that. I set it down on the nightstand, but I'm done. Like that's obnoxious.
Yeah. To like make you scroll all the way through it.
To play golf of all things.
Like, is there a person in this world that's ever read that except for the person who wrote it?
That's the kind of thing I could see like one person reading it just so they could make like a YouTube video about it. Like, here's all the things that are in here.
Yeah, this is what I don't like about games. Like they're stealing my data.
Yeah, yeah.
For how much I'm playing PGA Tour.
In fact, I think that was why I got my Vita out, because I just wanted to lay in bed and play some freaking golf.
Yeah.
And so when that didn't work out, I'm like, why am I even doing this when I have hot shots on the Vita?
Yeah, get some of that clap hands action.
Yes.
Clap hands does what EA don't.
HANZ. Clap hands.
Clap hands.
Yeah.
Hans.
But so I don't know if this was something you'd wanted to talk about too, since you said something, but I realize I'm doing most of the talking today. I apologize for that.
It's okay. It's all right.
So I ended up
like
what?
I just you've been in quarantine, and you probably like you probably only like talk to your wife.
Yeah, and barely even that. Well, no, I'm not. I'm saying like I was really trying not to give it to her. So like I was in the guest room. I always had the door shut. Like she would bring me food on a tray and like leave it on the ground. And then like after she went downstairs, like I would,
And then she still got it though. But now she has it. So
well, she ended up getting it because after a week I came out of quarantine because like according to certain governmental organizations, 5 days after you test positive, you're like all good to go and you can go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought like, okay, you're fine. And so like I came out after a week and then like 2 or 3 days later, she got it. So clearly that was all lies, but whatever. She didn't, I thought she was going to be more upset when she got it. Cause I mean, she's really been like not that everybody's not trying to not get it, but I mean, she's been very extra cautious. And so when she got it, I was like, oh man, but she seemed okay with it. Cause I mean, she got to stay home from work for a long time too.
I mean, that's like the only real upside is that
well, of course
you can feel okay not being productive at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes like that is like the best part about getting sick in general, where it's like, all right, so I am just going to do this, I'm not going to do anything. And it's okay.
Yeah.
Like nobody can say anything about it.
Yeah. Although I still tried to find ways to be productive. I mean, I redesigned my website. So that's pretty cool. But I mean, I just did that this week when I'm feeling a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what I was going to say is I finally finished watching the Tim Rogers Doom review, which is funny because I didn't realize how much of it I still had left. And part of the problem is that I kept falling asleep watching it. Not because like it's not good, but because it's so long, it's the kind of thing I would put on like before bed. And so I would end up just dozing off or whatever.
And then you just go back, and
I just would remember about, okay, this is the last thing I remember him talking about. And then I would just start from that spot and keep going. Yeah.
And a lot of times he will build in like breaks, and he tells you at the beginning, I don't know if he does in that one or he starts doing it like with the Tokimeki Memorial one, where he says, you don't have to watch this all in one sitting. Like, in fact, I encourage you not to watch it all in one sitting. Yeah. Just, watch it at your own pace.
Well, I mean, that's like okay. a 6-hour video, the Tokimeki, right? So, I mean, like nobody in their right mind is watching that in one sitting. But anyway, watching that was what made me want to play Doom. But what was crazy for me was that like between watching the video and reading that Final Fantasy VI review that I sent you, which I don't know if you read it or not, but
from his website, which I'm surprised is not online anymore. I feel like it just was recent. I just read a review that he did for like Sin and Punishment Star Successor. Like I couldn't have been like more than 6 months ago.
Well, I mean, you can get all that stuff with the Wayback Machine anyway, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know that his website's down, but he mentioned in the Doom video that like, oh, I wrote this, Final Fantasy VI review.
Right.
And, and he kind of talked a little bit about it and said like, I'll probably not leave it up very long because I mean, that whole article is only tangentially about Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all of his reviews are like tangentially about.
Yeah. But
like a roundabout, or even his videos are tangentially about the game.
Yeah.
They like work around,
But so in that, in like basically in one day, I finished watching the Doom review and I read that article and like that sent me, and again, I'm not joking, I'm trying to be funny. Like I was like legitimately seriously depressed for like 2 days straight after watching and reading that.
Really? So
Yeah.
I need like you sent me a link to it and I started reading it. I just like I didn't have much time, so I just like kind of went through like the first like
it's very
2 or
long.
3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like if you ever get around to watching his Boku no Natsuyami,
I started it.
Like, so he goes in depth like how his mind works and how he's able to remember specific things.
Yeah.
Like, because he like has like he says that he can like recall like 98% of like all conversations he's had since he was like 12.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like kind of a photographic memory, but to a much like greater extent, I guess.
Yeah.
But he, goes through like how he explains to the viewer how it works.
Oh, well, I'd be interested in hearing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
know. You were
just,
depressed.
What?
You were depressed for
like extremely depressed. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm not saying that to be funny.
No,
it's just like
I know. It's just like
a lot of his experiences, I think, that he talks about, especially like in high school and whatnot, like just hit like way too close to home for me.
Right.
So
interesting. Okay.
I mean, in some ways, I mean, I think, some of the stuff he said, like, I don't know if he's trying to be funny or not, but he talks about being like a mute. And certainly I was never a mute.
Right. And he's certainly not a mute now.
No. But other than that, just a lot of the stuff he said was just like really brought back a lot of stuff, like for me.
But it also ignited you to like
get
Doom. Back into writing, kind of.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool, and like just hearing you talk about that makes me think like, oh, like seeing you being inspired to like bring your website back, like saying like, well, maybe I should get back into blogging.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a blogger, but I've always enjoyed writing, and like it's one of the aspects of my show I really enjoy is the writing, which is funny because I haven't released an episode that involved any writing in like 2 years, or something like that. But
writing's like the thing that I struggle the most with.
Oh,
but I just need to do it more. Maybe I just need to do it more and I'll get better at it.
Yeah, but I liked his whole style of and apparently that's some kind of like newer style of games journalism where like you really bring your personal experiences and memories into the review rather than just doing some dry review. And because that's part of what I make my show about, is trying to bring in my personal, so like why not write, originally my website was based on the idea of doing like these capsule reviews. And so everything was supposed to be real tight. It's one paragraph because it's not about spoiling the game for somebody. It's just about, somebody sees that and what I have to say about it. And is that enough to make them want to go play the game or not? But, and maybe that was more of a thing at that time. Because, I mean, really that's what EGM's reviews were, all just capsule reviews.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if I stick with working on that. But,
I mean, I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
And, just writing about your experiences connects to the reader or the viewer so much more.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are sad that we don't, or, for having a show called My Life in Gaming, there's not very much my life
It's true.
in it that much these days. Although occasionally I will put stuff in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that maybe I should do it more. I don't know.
I don't know. Think about it.
Yeah.
But what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, the other thing I was going to say is just, I ended up talking to my wife about this because, like, I've never, you know, obviously I don't have something like what Tim Rogers has going on with his memory thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I was always surprised, like when I was doing those flashback videos, that people would tell me that I had, oh, you know, I wish I had, you know, you have an amazing memory to be able to remember all these things. Mm-hmm. Because to me,
that when watching those,
I thought, doesn't everybody? Like, I didn't, you know, people would leave comments like, oh, I only remember a few little details of my childhood. And I was like, really? Mm-hmm. Like how, like I remember like tons of stuff, like not, like I said, not like Tim Rogers, but I remembered I talked to my wife about it, and it actually made her get like, she started like tearing up a little bit talking about, you know, the extent of the memory I have, you know, versus most people, including her. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I guess, you know, but anyway, that made me think more about, you know, cause you might hear that like, oh, there's this guy that can like remember every little detail of his whole life. Like, oh, that would be awesome. But you know, the thing about that is you don't just remember the good stuff. Mm-hmm. And especially, and like I said, if you watch the Doom video and you read that Final Fantasy VI thing, you know, you see a lot of the stuff that he went through as an adolescent. And a lot of it's the kind of stuff that most people would rather forget. Yeah. And here's a guy that literally can't.
Yeah. So it's more of, it's almost like a curse.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes that's how I feel about it. But like I said, I didn't realize that there was anything exceptional about my memory. Cause I feel like you think like, oh, it'd be nice to be able to remember all these things. But the flip side of that is it's nice to be able to, if not forget things, have them be far enough in the past that, you know, it's a fuzzy memory you have, rather than being able to like mentally put yourself right back into that situation along with all of the emotions that went with it. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that I remember a lot of stuff, but it's very like it's certain things, you know, I can't say to the extent of which how it compares to maybe like the kind of memories that you have.
Yeah.
How closely you remember certain things. I mean, do you remember certain things you were wearing at these certain events and stuff like that when these memories?
Maybe sometimes. I would say that not usually though. Mm.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty minor
does it go for
detail.
Everything? Because I can remember a lot of stuff, a lot of very specific things.
Yeah.
Specifically around like video games. Like, I got this video game on this day, and I remember, you know, going home and like exactly like how that day felt.
Yeah.
And, you know, very like vivid aspects of that memory. But then there's a lot of things that I don't remember.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that just sounds normal.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's the same reason my mom used to always say, you know, if you remembered and knew as much about, you know, the stuff that you're doing in school, as you do about these games, you know, you'd be doing a lot better. Not that I did bad in school, but I was purely 100% average.
Oh, same here. I was just
not exceptional in any way and not a mess, but I struggled with certain things, and I was in English and social studies. Like I was good at English and social studies and bad at math and science. But I wasn't like so bad that I couldn't pass. I just wouldn't I just have to work a lot harder.
Sure.
To do okay. And I don't remember a lot of that stuff. Still.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember most of the stuff I learned in high school or in public school in general anyway, you know, or college really. I mean, you learn the stuff or you remember the stuff that you need to know, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Or anything involving like a mnemonic. That's hard. Am I saying that right? Mnemonic?
Yeah. Like Johnny Mnemonic, who has an 80 gig hard drive in his brain. It's about to explode.
Probably not Johnny Mnemonic, but no, but you know, like, you know, what is it? Pardon my dear Aunt Sally, or Sokotoa. No. Anyway,
on the subject of school,
yeah.
I mean, is that okay if I kind of jump to subject? I mean, well, we can circle back around.
I was pretty much done, so
okay,
please do.
So I've mentioned it like on our live stream, and also I may have mentioned it during the episode with Brady last week, but these last couple of weeks, it was my kids' last couple of weeks of school for the year, and it was just a lot of different things happening, and I had to go in and do this thing for this day, like a career day or future day thing, and I had to the faculty and staff found out that I do YouTube, and like, oh, you got to come in and talk to the kids about doing YouTube, because all kids, they all want to like watch YouTube and they want to know all about it.
I mean, so they'll definitely pay more attention to like what you have to say versus like a locksmith or something, probably.
Well, maybe, but there was a lot of people that did a lot of really cool things.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't always
but
just
that's you as like a 40-something-year-old, you know. Like at my age, if somebody wanted to tell me about their career as an electrician, I would love to hear that. Or locksmith, I would love to hear that.
Right.
But not when I was like 8.
Right. Yeah. It was very much that, and I wonder if these kids were disappointed in it. But it was a really cool experience. I had to speak to. So I was set up in a room in one of the classrooms, in my daughter's classroom actually, and they cycle out the classes. Like different classes go to different rooms for 25 minutes at a time, and you know, the presenters would present or like talk and like just whatever. And so I spoke with 5 different classes. I think it was 2 5th grade classes, 2 4th grade classes, and 1 3rd grade class for like 25 minutes at a time about doing YouTube. And it was interesting because I had this huge list of things that I wanted to like touch upon. And some classes I would, you know, like would only get through half of it. And other times I would get through the whole thing and not know what to talk about for the rest of the time. Because I just tell the kids, you know, if you have a question, just raise your hand, and you know, and I'll pick you and you ask it, just to kind of, you know, fill in the time, I guess. And it was a really cool experience. And at first I was a little stressed out. I was thinking, well, how do I I want this to be good, and I want these kids to have a good time. But then I realized, like, these kids are all 10 years old and under.
Sure.
They're not going to care if it's like this big presentation that's all flashy and cool.
Yeah.
I can just sit up there and talk about stuff. And, you know, by far the coolest thing for them was, you know, I brought this was my wife's suggestion was to bring stuff to like show the kids.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
And so I brought my thing right here.
Oh yeah. The play button for people listening.
Play button.
The silver play button.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I call it the thing because that's what
Finnerty calls it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a thing. You know, the thing. Which is like appearing in the back of the video here. Yeah. It's always, if you have one, it's always appearing. Although I feel like you should have yours on the wall to your left or whatever. Like,
you know, over here.
The other side. Yeah. Oh yeah, you could put it there.
Well, where would I put it over there?
I don't know.
Because this gets cropped down anyway. I mean,
oh,
I don't know.
But I mean, just in general. But you know, I brought it and I passed it around, and the kids lost their minds.
Wow. It's like passing around like an Oscar.
Yes, but not nearly as exclusive, I guess.
Yes, I would rather have an Oscar. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
If anybody from the, you know, Oscar committee or whatever, if everyone from the Academy is listening, if there's any way to get me an Oscar for something, please do so.
So I passed that around, and they were all asking me, "Do you think you'll get a gold play button, which is when you get 1 million?" And I'm like, "There's zero chance of that happening. I'm sorry, but there's no chance that I will ever."
You really believe that?
100%. There's just no way that I will ever come close to getting that. It's just not possible.
Because I used to feel the same way about the silver one, but then I got one. So
yeah, but I mean, the gold one is getting 10 of those.
I know, but I mean, you're like a quarter
Or
of the
no,
way there.
it's getting no, not 10. It's getting it's getting
10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10. Yeah, 10.
But you're already a
So
quarter of the
achieving-
way there.
Yeah, after 10 years.
Well, but I mean, it the longer you go, I think it picks up steam like more and more. You know.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I mean, look at whose T-shirt you're wearing today. He did it.
That's true. But his stuff is definitely a bit more, I guess, just
has a wider appeal, I would say.
A wider appeal.
Yeah.
And I think that he knew, you know, what things he could. We're talking about Norm, the gaming historian. This is his shirt right here.
Yeah.
You know, I think that he knew, I can do videos on these subjects and they will do huge numbers.
Yeah.
You know,
like he wanted. That was important for him, I think. He wanted the million.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
like that was his goal.
Right. Yes.
So yes, obviously we would all like that, but I'm saying I think for him, he saw that as like, this is an attainable goal that if I, you know, work my butt off and, you know, produce content sort of with that goal in mind, I can do it.
I wonder when he thought that was something he could attain, because I feel like when he was at 200,000, he wasn't thinking he could attain that.
Yeah.
I think maybe when you pass 500,000,
maybe
suddenly it becomes attainable. You know, the possibility of it becomes more realistic because you're half of the way there.
Right. Okay. But so anyways, you passed around the silver play button. The kids thought it was awesome.
Oh, the kids thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And just, you know, a lot of kids would have a lot of questions, and sometimes it wasn't even about, you know, like doing YouTube.
Yeah.
Because they see certain things, they're like, oh, how many games do you have?
Yeah. Do you know that?
How many do I have?
Yeah. Do you know? Like, do you have like a catalog
physical
or
games?
something?
I mean, I use one of those CLZ, like a CLZ game tracker where I like scan in everything.
Oh, all right.
But that doesn't even cover. I tried to do the aspect because it has a hardware aspect, and I just thought this is way more of a hassle.
Yeah.
Because clearly I feel as though there's enough stuff here that, and I've been talking about this for a long time, that I need to get it insured in case something happens.
Yeah. Same here.
And, but anyways, a lot of kids were asking about that. But, you know, one thing was, because when I first had mentioned it to my son that I was going to talk to the kids about this, and he says, I think a lot of kids want to be YouTubers because they think it would be an easy job. So that was always something I would ask the class. I said, so how many of you think that like doing YouTube is an easy job?
Yeah. See, that is why you need a cough button.
And that's the cough button. But I mean, I wouldn't even be able to reach for it.
Yeah, but if you get like what I have, you put it wherever you want. Bless you, by the way. Sorry. Then you put it right on the desk. You know, it was $59.99, made in the USA.
Can I see what it looks like?
Maybe. Well, not really. Sorry. Well, kind of. Sorry.
Oh, cool. Okay, so it just goes right through.
Upside down. Yeah, yeah. And it's moddable. You can make the button be momentary, which is the way I have it. And the way it comes, it's like, I don't know what you call, like you can push it and it'll stay down. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But I don't want that. I want to be able to just have it be momentary, so I can just reach over and push it down, cough, sneeze, whatever. And then if I let it go, then the mic's hot again.
Yeah.
So, but you can do it either way.
And that's encouraged. Like you can.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's in like the manual.
Like
they tell you how to do it. You just open the thing up, and there's a little thing on the switch that you have to move. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll think. Excuse me. I'll think about it.
Yeah. Anyway,
but you know, the kids they thought it was really cool. And I.
But you didn't. You were saying like so when you asked them how many thought it was easy.
Oh yeah, yeah. And a lot of them, like almost everybody, said like I don't think it's easy.
Oh, good.
You know.
Yeah.
So I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, you got to do editing. And I said, you know, there's a lot of stuff outside of that, especially if you have like some success, at it, then, you know, there's like, you got to like worry about like, you know, like the money aspect, like, you know, either like setting it aside, you know, doing taxes with it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like level, like a lot of, there's another level of responsibility of stuff that you need to handle when it comes to doing that. And I had some stuff, I was kind of going through some stuff with my wife saying like, oh, I want to mention this. And she's like, you know, I think you need to just kind of dial it back. Cause I had this whole thing, because one thing I think about a lot, even in like recent, like the last couple of years, is like imposter syndrome.
Oh, for like, sure. But I mean, that's not unique to YouTubers. It's everybody.
Right.
Like I have just as much imposter syndrome when it comes to my day job as I do with any of this stuff.
But the thing is that you can't talk to like 10-year-olds about imposter syndrome.
I agree.
She's like, oh, so I'm maybe not, you don't need to get to that. And, you know, I put that on the very bottom, like if I needed to get to something.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe I would talk about it, but I didn't end up having to talk about it to anybody.
That's good. What would you say was like the most, was there any question that we would get? Like, I would just think that, and this is just, you know, my own assumptions, but I would just think that 10-year-olds, because I mean, a lot of adults think this too, that like all YouTubers like know each other. So I would just imagine you'd get kids going like, oh, do you know Cookie Swirl C? Or that's the only...
Well, in that case, you could say, well, no, but I know somebody who
you're
like know her husband, right?
Yeah, you're like two degrees. Is that 2 degrees or 3 degrees? You know me.
Yeah,
I know the husband or the boyfriend. So that's
yeah.
You're 2 degrees because I'm 1 degree, right? I don't even know.
But you know, I mean, of course, there was a lot of stuff like that because immediately they're like, oh, do you know Mr. Beast?
Oh yeah,
who's like the, you know, like the most popular YouTuber now or something like that.
Is he?
I think so.
I don't really know who he is. I only see him like on Reddit or something when someone will post it like, oh, people are mad at Mr. Beast for buying houses or something, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't really know too much about him, but I think that what he does, it for the most part, it seems like
I don't even know what he does. Like I know nothing.
He does like just videos on different things, but a lot of time, like what he's done, as far as I know, like what he's done in these last, like since he really attained a lot of like some popularity, is that he will like just spend that money on doing cool things for people or like having an event. You know, like there's one where I don't know, he went to like a store, like a locally owned business, and like bought everything in it.
Wow.
Like bought like their entire stock of like everything.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like I don't know, like is that good or is that bad? I don't know if that's like good or bad. If you're selling through everything, but then you don't have like
then when customers come by, you'd be like, sorry, we don't have anything.
Mr. Beast bought it all.
Yeah.
But then there's things where like he would bought a bunch of people like cars.
Yeah.
But he always does this to like make more videos on it, you know? Like he makes videos of him doing this stuff.
Yeah, and it's funny because some people would say, you know, well, he's just doing that to get content. So?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's like literally everybody who makes videos.
Everybody like, in life has an ulterior motive. Everybody.
Yeah.
Some are just more obvious than others.
Yes. Yeah, I think I would say that that's true, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of people are asking, "Oh, do you know him?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
it's not like that.
You could have told him you got to hang out with Clint from Lazy Game Reviews.
Yeah, but I don't even know. I don't think that they would.
I'm kidding.
Have watched that either. Who he is, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I would ask, I said, so who's like everybody's favorite YouTuber? And you know, and I would like pick on people and just, I mean, the only one that I had like heard the name of is like this SS Sniper Wolf.
Yeah.
Who's like, I don't know. She's like, all I know is like, I mean, I don't really know anything about her.
Oh, I didn't even know it was a lady. So
yeah. But I'm like, oh, I mean, do you know that she's probably named after the Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear Solid?
Oh,
it's like, I mean,
yeah,
that's what I assumed that like her name is based on.
Probably that'd be some coincidence. otherwise.
Yes, if it was not.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many of these kids even know what Metal Gear Solid is?
Right.
But I mean, she seems to be the one that is like the most kids like were familiar with or used like to like, you know, used her name as like oh, she's the one that I watch the most.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, so we it's 5 different classes, 25 minutes, and it's funny, and I've said this before, but I think back to like when I was in high school, speaking in front of a class is like, oh, you need to like make a speech in front of the class for, you have to talk about a subject for like 1 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that seems like an eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think about it and I think, how can I can't imagine not talking for like only be limited to that amount of time to talk. I mean, look, we like record this podcast every week, and we
although probably
have a hard time stopping after an hour and a half.
Yeah. Although probably I do far more than my share of talking on the podcast, but
well,
I mean,
so do I, but
I felt like like when I was in high school or something, like having to get up in front of the class and talk was, I would dread doing something like that. But now, I mean, just as part of my job, like I have to talk in front of groups of people all the time, and sometimes it's like, oh, I have a PowerPoint presentation. And I mean, sometimes it has to just be like, oh, can you go give a tour to like 30 people, of the lab or whatever. And I just have to kind of go wing it, here's what this thing does. Here's what that thing does. And so, I mean, it's an acquired skill.
Yeah. Did you ever like take anybody to see the retro encabulators?
The what?
Do you have it?
Cough button.
The retro encabulator.
What are you talking about?
You have retro encabulators at your job?
Oh, I didn't.
I don't know.
I don't get that.
It's an old video where you ever seen that? It's like this guy talking about this device called the retro encabulator, and he uses all these words that are just like made up.
Oh. No, I've never seen that.
It's very, very funny.
Sorry, that's why I didn't get the joke.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you remember? Sorry, are you done with the story about the kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, like way back when we started the show, the whole premise of the show was that we were going to like put each other on the spot and ask each other like stupid like bar stool questions.
Yes.
So I actually thought of one. So.
Oh, okay.
So with respect to your wife, here's my question for you. All right. If you were if you can go back in time to when you were single, can you think of like, you're going to go out on a date with somebody, like a first date.
Yeah.
Like, what's the kind of thing that, in the course of a conversation with a date, something that could come up that would be like a instant like deal breaker for you, but that from outward appearances is like completely mundane. Like, I'm not saying like if you have like, religious or ideological differences, well, obviously, but I'm talking about something where they could say something or do something and you just be like, oh, there's definitely not going to be a second date. This is not going to work out.
It would entirely come down to how desperate I was, probably.
Well, I'm thinking that you're there because you're looking for, the point of you dating is like, I'm looking for like a life partner, not, this isn't like a Tinder date where we're just going to feel each other out before we feel each other up kind of thing. Like, this is like, like I'm pushing 30 years old in this scenario. Let's say you're pushing 30 years old. It's time for me to stop screwing around and settle down with somebody. So, you're at the coffee shop with this lady and you're talking and she says, yeah, actually, and then says something and you're just like, oh, I got to get going. Actually, I forgot. I got to get my teeth cleaned.
This is tough because I mean, I can't think of like anything off the top of my head.
All right. Well, to give you a minute to think of something, maybe this will help as an example. The whole reason that I had this question is this kind of happened to me. Like, I I haven't been single in like a million years, but in fact, since the last time we recorded, my wife and I had our 23rd anniversary. So check that out.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, and my 46th birthday.
Which was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Anyway, there was just like, there was this lady I used to work with, and we got along really, really well. Like, we were like very good work friends. Like, I was the only person at work that got invited to her wedding. You know, that's how, you know, close friends we were. But she had this thing where she doesn't like potatoes. Like, just like, oh, you want some French fries? Like, yeah, you know, I'm not really into French fries. Or like, you know, potato chips. Yeah, I'm not really into, I'm just not into potatoes. And I remember when she said that, and I was like, wow, like, you and I would never, that would never happen. Because, I mean, honestly, and it seems like such a stupid little thing, but like my wife and I both are like potato junkies. Yeah. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about my wife. Like, she will never turn down a potato. Like, we'll go to like our local bar has like a restaurant attached to it.
Yeah.
That like one night a week is like prime rib night or something, which I don't like prime rib at all. But when they have prime rib night, they'll have like, you can get, if you get a prime rib, the side that it comes with is a baked potato. And one day we went over there, like, you know, it was after work, like, oh, let's go get a beer, you know, and they hand you, because you can get the same food in the bar as in the restaurant. Yeah. And we noticed, oh, it's prime rib night. Well, I'm not getting that. But then we looked, and they mentioned the sides, and like, oh, they have baked potatoes. And so, like, we asked the waitress, we're like, hey, can we just, like, order just a baked potato, like, by itself? And she's like, sure. Yeah. And it, like, made both of our night. We're just sitting there drinking a pint of beer and just, like, eating a baked potato, just having, like, the time of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
So I just can't even imagine, like, if some woman was just like, oh, I have potatoes? I don't like. Who doesn't like potatoes? Like, that's a staple food. That's like saying I don't like bread. I don't like rice.
I mean, that's a good point, though. I mean, you know, although, you know, we don't go out that much anymore, but, you know, it's like getting a big plate of like loaded nachos. It's like, hey, let's just get that and eat that. But like, someone's like, oh, I don't like nachos.
Yeah, or like, oh, yeah, I don't like
specifically. I don't like loaded nachos.
I just don't like tortilla chips in general.
Yeah,
right. I'd be like,
come on.
Okay, so that means we're never gonna have nachos. We're never gonna have chips and salsa. If you don't like tortilla chips, what else don't you like? Like, if I go get a taco, or you're gonna be like, well, that's really just a tortilla chip that's like stuffed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the theater of the mind. It's like, how is this gonna play out over the course of the rest of my life that you don't like tortilla chips?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, I guess this is not really a mundane thing. And maybe it's something that I had experienced before, but I mean, it would be a deal breaker if someone, and I've had, you know, like, you say, oh, like, so what do you like what, like, I don't have, like, when someone says I don't have any hobbies.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so what do you do? Just like, if you don't have anything to do you just like sit there and stare blankly? I mean, I don't know. I wonder if people have less hobbies now because with smartphones.
Maybe.
They'll just like look at stuff. So what are you looking at?
Yeah.
Like, what are you interested in?
Like, to steal a term from Dan Olson, I feel like if you're the kind of person that doesn't have any hobbies, you're like a fundamentally incurious person.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I'm not sure who's Dan Olson.
Folding Ideas, you know, Dan Olson.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yes, I mean, if someone says, oh, I don't have any hobbies, that would be an instant deal breaker.
Yeah.
Just because, like, so what do you even want to talk about? What do you have to talk about?
Yeah.
What do you want to share with me? And you're just like basically talking about what is happening like that day or in the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't imagine, like, you know, oh, I don't listen to music. You know, there's people like that for sure. It's just like, don't listen to music.
Yeah, like some people, for them, like, music is just, well, it's just background noise I put on while I'm doing whatever, who just aren't into music. Which that always blows my mind when I hear somebody say that, but it's just, you know, like I always say, like, I'm not really into movies, and that would blow somebody else's mind. So there you go, you know, we're all right, human.
But I mean, but you'll still watch stuff. You know, it's just like,
I'm not like, oh, I don't watch movies. I mean, I just watched Rambo 3, like I said, but it just I think usually when the idea of like, oh, I'll watch a movie or you want to watch a movie, and it just never sounds appealing to me. You know, it took me being bedboundedly sick to watch Rambo 3, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I do agree on like the incurious quote that you'd
fundamentally
you made.
incurious.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it doesn't even have to be something that, like, what are you like just passionate about?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really, I just float through life, and I just, I don't really care about anything.
Yeah. For somebody like you, somebody like that would just be like an anchor tied around your waist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like my wife like has no interest in games at all.
That's fine.
Like, I mean, but she has like other hobbies that she does. Like for that career day, I mean, my wife does like printing press stuff.
Oh, yeah.
She has like a hand press, like this big, like the thing is like 1,000 pounds, but it's like this huge
for paper, you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
I mean,
cool.
so she's like big into that kind of stuff, like stationery, and like that's like her hobby.
Yeah.
And like that, and like plants have become a major hobby since we got this house for her.
My wife's huge into the plants.
Yeah.
But see, I think it's cooler to me. Like, I like the fact that my wife's interests are different than mine, because to me, it's more interesting to hear about like somebody else talking about something they're interested in that I don't already know all about that. You know?
Right.
Like if I was, if my wife was
hearing
just
somebody who's passionate about something else, like talk about it passionately is.
Yes. Cause then you're going to learn stuff too. Right.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about these plants that you're putting in the yard or whatever, like,
yeah,
I don't need to be married to somebody that is also a walking encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to 16-bit sports games. That just sounds, just sounds
like,
boring.
What are we just going to do? Talk about 16-bit sports games all the time?
Just argue about Madden 92 versus Madden 93,
Yeah. Versus Championship Edition.
Yes. Which is of course the best one.
But I mean, at the same time, like, I wish that she at least had some interest in it, because as soon as I like mention something, a lot of times she's just like, kind of doesn't really care, and that's okay too. I mean, like, I wish, but maybe that's just something that comes along with, like, you've been married for 23 years. I've been married for it'll be 15 years in this in September.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just you get to a level of comfort, I guess, where it's just like, okay, so I know that, like, I'm just not going to bring this stuff up to you because, like, I know that you're not super interested in it.
That's what I do. Like, if I don't think my wife wants to hear about something, I'm not going to. I probably do that to a fault, to be honest, just because, like,
yeah. I mean,
I always assume that nobody wants to hear anything I have to say,
except for people watching.
But see, that's why,
like, or listening to us.
That's why I like having a YouTube channel and a podcast. Is I feel like not you, but you have made like the decision I want to listen to what this guy's talking about. Right? It's different.
Yes.
In real life, if I'm at work or here at home, if I corner my wife or corner somebody at work to tell them all about Quackshot, I'm just going to assume that they don't actually want to hear about it. But if I upload a video talking about Quackshot and you watched it, that's on you.
Right.
Like, I hate it when people leave comments on my videos and tell me I'm boring. Okay, then just watch something else. Like, that's a you problem, pal.
Yeah. What were you calling it? A personality vacuum?
Oh,
is that what it was?
Charisma vacuum.
I mean, I guess that kind of thing just comes with, like, being married for as long and just understanding and knowing the other person's interests. And, there's only, at this point, you've just gone through a lot of the stuff that there is to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean,
just
yes
the reality.
And no. I feel like, like my wife and I'll end up talking about stuff, and I think you still learn things about the other person.
Yeah.
Like,
for
I
sure.
never knew that you liked that or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't that long ago. I remember somehow RoboCop came up. And like my wife was talking about how much she used to love playing the RoboCop arcade game when she was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Was she big into the movie though? She's like, oh, I love it when that guy gets knocked into the toxic waste and then.
No, I'm not sure if she's seen the movie actually.
Oh. Well, you should watch it with her.
No, I never want to see that again. Actually, it's funny that, that was one of the things that Tim Rogers had brought up, I think, in that Doom video, was that he saw RoboCop when he was like 10.
I saw it when I was 7. My dad took me to the theater.
And then he was like kind of scarred by it because the exact same thing happened to me. Like I watched the movie with my dad and like that, I was too young and too sensitive to see that. And it was like that messed me up for a while.
Yeah, I could understand.
Because especially when you're a kid, you don't understand like it's all fake. And so even like at the beginning when they're like shooting Murphy's, and
it was his hand off.
Well, but it was other stuff too. But it also was, he shot his hand off, but then I think one of his arms got blown off. But like, which is funny because Tim Rogers kept showing that clip over and over again of Murphy's hand getting shot off. And I'm like, that's exactly the kind of thing that I never wanted to see again in my life.
So that's like, the whole thing. It's like, but I think about that too, because my dad took me to see that in the theater and I was 7. It came out in 85. Crazy. So I would have been 7.
Yeah.
And it definitely messed me up, but I also thought that the second I had the chance to watch it on home video whenever it came out, like a year later or something.
Yeah.
Like I for sure watched it immediately again.
No, I don't.
But it's one of those, like, I feel as though a lot of my fear of flying comes from Die Hard 2, which I saw in the theater when that was like, I was probably too young to go and see that, but it just like that plane crash.
Yeah.
Like it's terrifying for somebody, of the age that I was. I mean, I don't remember what year it came out, but I saw that definitely in the
You're
theater.
talking about not the plane crash like at the end. You're talking about when they like make that plane crash that was in the holding pattern, like halfway through the movie or something.
When they told them that it was that they could land and they turned off all the lights or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Colonel Stewart. Remember that was Colonel Stewart.
Oh,
the character.
Okay.
He was the one that was on the radio or whatever with the pilot.
Okay.
I mean, I think was he the main guy, bad guy, or was General Grant the main? I'm not really sure. I mean, General Grant was a general.
I don't know the names.
Well, I can't remember the name of the actor that played General Grant, but he was the guy that was in Coming to America.
Okay. The main bad guy, I think, was like the
Colonel Stewart was the guy that played Death in
in Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also in
I can't think of his name.
Shawshank Redemption, which I also watched while I was sick.
You know what I just found out?
Alexandre Dumbass. There was that guy.
So I didn't realize this, and I had put this in the back of my mind to talk to you about because I didn't even realize this was a thing.
All right.
So when I had to go up to Akron for work earlier this week.
Yeah, and of course didn't go to Diamond Deli.
I know.
Nobody ever goes anywhere I recommend. I don't know what it is.
I'm gonna go when I have to go back in
I was not even disappointed that you didn't go because like
you expected
nobody ever I tell, you gotta go check. Oh yeah, we didn't make it over there.
But if I go there, I'm gonna go there because
so you say.
I'm going back.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna like spend it was only a challenge because we were doing a video shoot, and then we were like me and my coworker who drove in from Indianapolis.
Yeah.
We're going to go drove separately and we were going to go get something to eat and then drive back.
Yeah.
But we were kind of like outside of the city. So that would have had us to go downtown into the downtown area.
You don't have to
do meter parking.
Hey, you don't owe me an explanation. It's,
but I probably can do it when I go back.
My expectations were met when you didn't go. But anybody listening to this or watching this, if you live in or around Akron, Ohio, go to downtown Akron, go to Diamond Deli, get yourself a sandwich called the Chad's Wait Till You Hear This Story, which, yes, is a stupid name for sandwich, but that's how this place rolls, and get a cup of matzo ball soup.
Okay. I mean, for this video shoot, reporter who like works for the newspaper like was on this video shoot with us.
Did you ask him about Diamond Deli?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah?
He's like, oh, it's really good. You know, it's like, oh, and they have like the matzo ball soup, which is, you know, is amazing.
He said that, or she?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he did.
See?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be there in a couple weeks on the 22nd. I think I'm going to be there. So 21st to the 22nd is when I'll be there. So I'll go then.
Okay. Anyway, I interrupted. You said you.
But
had
when I was
something
driving up there, you know, like I was like outside of Columbus, so I saw a billboard for you know, as like the Shawshank Experience, and I didn't realize like the prison from Shawshank Redemption is like in Ohio, I guess.
Yeah, it's Mansfield State Prison in Mansfield, Ohio.
You can go there and get a tour.
See, I thought they had torn, because I remember seeing, I think it was like an interview with the director, Frank Darabont, where it was like that they were going to tear the prison down. You know, when they said, okay, we're going to go film a movie here, it was like this prison that was like scheduled to be torn down.
Well, I wonder if they didn't tear it down because there's this thing saying you can go there and get a tour and stuff.
I mean, that movie is so popular and beloved that you could imagine the money to be made if, you know. For
sure.
Yeah.
And just like enduring, like people, you know, new people are getting exposed to it all the time.
Yeah.
And if it's just right there, it's kind of in a, I guess, fairly easy to access place.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in the Midwest.
I just read the book again.
I'm thinking, I want to.
This week.
I should go and do that. Yeah. Wait, what did you? Oh, you just
I just read the book again this week. It's like a novella, so it's like 110 pages. That's an example, by the way. You know, everybody always talks about, you know, book snobs like to just be like, well, the book was way better than the movie. Yeah. Shawshank is an example of the opposite. Like, the novella is good, but, you know, that was a Stephen King novella, and then Frank Darabont took that and wrote a screenplay out of it. He improved it massively. Like, the movie is much better than the book.
Yeah.
And you don't even like sometimes read a book and you'll get like more information or details that weren't included in the movie. That's not really the case here. Like if you're like, oh, I love Shawshank Redemption, I should read the book. You can, or you could just not. Like there's not much to be gained in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I'm just thinking like it might be fun to do that because, you know, my brother.
Have you ever been like into a prison before? Like
no.
Like I've been to Alcatraz a couple times. It's not fun is not the word I would use to describe.
Right, but I mean, it would be interesting.
Sure.
You know, just to, you know, my brother went to the hotel from The Shining, like for a took a trip and like stayed there.
Is that like the Bates Hotel, or
that's kind of cool too?
Confusing my movies.
What is it? It's like a hotel. Like
isn't that the Bates Hotel, or am I confusing that with a different movie?
That's Psycho. You're thinking.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's
Psycho.
Yeah.
No, this other one I can't remember. Is it like in Colorado or something like that?
No idea.
I don't remember either. But he went and he thought it was pretty cool. But this might be something fun to do, and it's not that far from me, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I would if you're already in the area. You know, you could also go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's really cool.
Oh,
I mean, if you're a museum,
that's in Akron.
It's in Canton, but that's an easy drive from that. Really, really cool. I mean, I'm a football fan, but I think even if you're not, I mean, it's just a cool museum.
Yeah, like lots of old stuff to look at. Like lots of
but you can go in the room with all those busts, like the bronze busts. Like you can go see, you could go see John Madden's bust. How cool would that be?
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. In fact, you could just go do that and walk out, and then they would probably think. They would go tell their families, this guy showed up and he paid, you know, the $26, whatever it is. He just went in and talked to John Madden's bust for a few minutes and left. So it was the weirdest thing.
That was it. You know, and when I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago for work, and there was like someone had mentioned, because I was in Fort Lauderdale and I'd never been there before. And they're like, oh, you should go to like the Hard Rock Cafe. It's like shaped like a guitar. It's like a building shaped like a guitar.
Is that like the original Hard Rock Cafe or something? Or
I don't know.
I have no idea. We used to have one here in Sacramento, and now we don't. So,
well, I mean, there's a Hard Rock casino here.
Oh,
but you know, they said, oh, you should go to the one in Fort Lauderdale because it's the whole building is shaped like a guitar.
Yeah,
it's like you can't miss it.
Just the body of the guitar or the neck too?
Just the body of the guitar.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. But if you look it up, because I saw it when I was going to the airport, I was like, oh, look at that. That must be it. Because...
Oh, like you can see it out of the plane?
No. Just like
there was a picture on the
drive.
wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. It was like I saw the building from a distance.
Oh, all right. That's pretty neat. When you were like a kid, was that like, I remember like when I was in like junior high, high school, like Hard Rock Cafe t-shirts were like one of the cooler.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, you know, it depended where it was from, right? Because they all had the exact same logo. And then underneath it in like block lettering, you would say, you know, New York or London or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and if you had one from a cooler place, that made it cooler.
Yeah. I mean, it's all those. I was thinking about just different. Like that wouldn't be something I would consider like a gimmick T-shirt.
You would not.
You know, no.
Okay.
No, but I was just thinking because I think I overheard somebody. I think it was when I was on the way back from Midwest Gaming Classic. I heard a couple of people talking about like T-shirts and gimmick T-shirts, and they're like, "Oh, you remember like the co-ed naked T-shirts? It's like co-ed naked something like sport or something
sure,
like
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Like whatever happened to those?
Yeah. You remember the Big Johnson shirts?
Big Johnson, yeah, I remember those. There was also like the big dog. Like if you can't run with the big dogs, you got to stay on the porch.
Yeah, but those were, I remember Big Johnson shirts got like banned from my high school for a good reason. I mean, they're filthy, but I mean, those big dog shirts weren't that big of a deal.
No, they weren't. But I mean, I bet you the co-ed naked stuff was like banned from.
I'm sure. Yeah,
from schools too. But you know, when I heard those people, like I just overheard them from like a distance, like mentioning it.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my god, I haven't thought about those in so long.
I bet a Big Johnson shirt probably goes for a lot of money on eBay these days. You know,
I
it's
wonder.
like having a classic like TNC Surf Designs shirt.
Yeah, we should. After this recording, we should see what these kind of things sell for, and if I wonder if there's any way to like buy them still.
I'm sure there's got to be somebody on like Redbubble selling, bootlegs or whatever. But speaking of that, I've actually got a package coming today from the company that now has the rights to all of the TNC Surf Designs characters. Mm-hmm. I ordered a new T-shirt. It's the same guy that did my channel art. Steve Nazar guy. I got a new T-shirt and I also got a mug with like it's got like Joe Cool and Thrilla Gorilla and whatnot. Like I needed another mug, but how can you say no to that?
Yeah, how can that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, we have too many coffee mugs as it is, but
yeah, if
it's cool enough.
I know that's the problem. But I have like a lot of cool mugs now, and like there's not enough room in the cabinet anymore. Like we're already at max capacity.
Yeah, we're like beyond.
I might need
capacity.
to get rid of some.
We
stuff.
have like we had to put like a bunch of them like in the pantry.
Yeah,
like with a lot of the water bottles. But even still, it's like so many coffee cups, and then you have so many that you got to like turn some of them sideways to slide them in there.
Oh my gosh. Would you say, do you have a bigger problem with the mugs or water bottles? Like overflow wise?
Overflow wise, I'd say that water bottles are a bigger problem.
I think that's easier.
That is a problem that I do not contribute to at all.
But just get rid of them. I feel like coffee mugs are much harder to get rid of because they all have cool stuff on them or you wouldn't have them in the first place.
And there's
water bottles are just water
craft
bottles.
To them. I know. Listen. Yeah. This is something that I've like.
All right. Who's the problem? Is it your wife or your kids? If it's your kids, I'm happy to talk to your kids. If it's your wife, I'm staying out of that. That's for you to deal with.
It is both of them teaming up.
All right.
To continue to get more and more water bottles while I say we need to get rid of some of these. And then my wife's like, okay, well then let's ask the kids, and they're like, no.
No, they should keep some of them in their room. Like, wouldn't you like to display them on the shelf in your room since you love these water bottles so much?
No, I don't want to. Can you wash them when you're done? No.
Yeah.
No, but can we like this one, like the straw is broken on it. Can we just like throw it away? No. It's just, I think that my kids, they don't, I don't know if this just like happens with me specifically, because I don't think that this happens to my wife, but like they will, like I will ask like, oh, most recently, we went out to dinner, and my daughter like barely touched this burger. That she bought. She's like, I just don't really feel like eating it, so we took it home.
All right.
It's in the fridge for 2 days, and this was like about like the day before I was going to go to Akron. I said, oh, can I have? You're not going to eat that burger. Can I just have it? So they were out. They were like at the hardware store or something, getting something, and I called and I said, oh, can I have the burger because you guys are going to be gone for lunch? Can I just eat it? And immediately, my daughter's in the back seat and goes, no. And I'm like, okay. So like I ended up like not having it, and they are home in time for dinner. So we like heat up the burger for her to eat for dinner, and she doesn't touch it. And it's sitting in the fridge for another 2 days.
At some point, you got to throw that thing out.
And then she's like, then I say, oh, the burger's still in there. And she's like, you can have it.
I'm surprised you asked the first time.
Well, the thing is, I ask most of the time now because it feels like every time I don't ask, I get in trouble
with
some way.
With your child.
Or with somebody. Like, why would you have that? It's a weird, sometimes it feels like a weird conspiracy that if I ask, I can be told no. And it's like a power thing. Like, oh, you can't have it. And actually, like, I would rather throw it out than let you have it.
That's why you should have just taken it and eaten it and not even asked. The thing is, if you had just eaten it and then never said anything to anybody, they probably never would have even known.
Exactly. But there's been times where I've eaten something and it's like asked about later on.
Well,
and it's like, oh, I had that I get in trouble. And now I have like this thing where I'm afraid to like have something.
I mean, I think it's a situational thing. Like if my wife had like leftover like Thai food in the fridge, like I would never touch that because I know she's going to eat that.
That stuff's going to get eaten like that day.
But if and it's easy for me to say I don't have kids, but I feel like if I had a school age kid with like a leftover hamburger in the fridge, like that's gone, pal. Sorry, I'm hungry.
Yeah. And especially since they're probably not going to eat it anyways.
Right.
But it's like it's got to be like a power thing.
Yeah.
Where I asked to have it, and I'm like immediately told no, and like, okay, so are you going to eat it then? Oh, I don't really want it right now. In fact, like I'm going to wait another 2 days until I decide that I don't want it. Yeah. And now the burger's like half a week old, and you can have it now if you want.
I mean, I think you're overthinking it. I think you're giving your kid too much credit as far as like it being some kind of like power move. I just think like,
right. I mean, I don't think that it's like actually a power move.
Okay,
but,
good.
I mean, I think that it's just one of those things where kids are made to do so much that when they're asked to have autonomy on something, like they're immediately going to say, no, I don't want you to have that because you're giving me the option to say no. So I'm going to say no.
I get that. So you listen to a lot of the radio, right? I mean, in your car, you listen to the radio.
I mean, it depends if I have anything else that I don't want to listen to.
This has nothing to do with anything, but I was going to bring it up in a previous show, and I was like, I'm just not going to bring it up. And it just keeps happening. And it's just like, I know I like to bag on, terrestrial radio or whatever, but it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like, can we please stop playing Under the Bridge like every hour on the radio? Like, I hate that song. And I only hate that song because it's like you won't ever stop playing that song. And it's just like, like I know Pat Finnerty did his whole video that was like ostensibly about Danny California, but really was, in my opinion, just him kind of dragging the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like I'm not like a huge fan. Like I don't own any of their albums, but like
me either. Yeah.
But I'd buy like their greatest hits album, maybe listen to in the car. Like if any other Chili Pepper song, any other Chili Pepper song that was like a released single comes on the radio, I'm probably going to be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Even Danny California, like, yeah, it's a dumb song and it's probably my second least favorite. But like, you know, if you go on like a streaming service and just say, okay, show me like, what are the Chili Peppers like top 20 most listened to songs? Like I can read through them and be like, oh, that's a banger. That's another banger. How come I never hear that one on the radio anymore? Yeah. I remember that one. That was a good one. And I never hear any of them. But and some of them, it's like, hey, where'd that song go? I'd love to hear that song again on the radio. But nope. Yeah. We're going to play Under the Bridge again instead.
Because it's just easy. It's easy. You know, there's enough people out there that won't change the channel.
Yeah. But is that song cheaper to play than something else?
Maybe. I mean, maybe during, like, due to its age. I don't know. I have no idea how money works in that situation. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I've never been like a big Chili Peppers fan. Like, I don't know. It's just, the only song that I really, that's memorable to me is, I don't even think it was a single. It's like off of Californication. It's a song called Parallel Universe.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good little tune.
I mean, I just feel like, to me, it's like they were a constant presence, like from me being a teenager all the way through my 20s. And so, like, for me, I hear any Chili Pepper song and it takes me back to a certain time. And like, it's like a visit from like an old friend, even though, like I said, I'm not running out to buy, you know, Stadium Arcadium or even Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Like, I'm not so into the band I want to hear any like their deep cuts. But I'm saying I think I enjoy their entire catalog of like released singles. And I would like Under the Bridge if I could just hear it a little bit less and have it like mixed in a little bit more with, you know, everything else. You know, I like mayonnaise on a sandwich. I don't want to eat a mayonnaise sandwich. You know what I'm saying?
And that's all there is to say about that. I guess that sums it up, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you want me to hit you with these? We've been at it for an hour and a half, but I mean, you want me to hit
by
you
the
with
way, this is episode 31 of Here's My Question for You that you're tuned into.
Good call. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
I mean, Brady was saying like next week. I mean, from now on, because we like wait till you know, like further and further into the episode.
Yeah.
That we should like have it be like the end of the episode. You know, kind of like how movies like never have the title at the beginning anymore. It's always like at the end credits.
Sure.
You know, at the end of this edit, you could have it be like episode 31. It's just like this big text like push into it.
Yeah, we could. That's more planning than I like, you know.
Yeah.
It's only funny if it's not on purpose.
Yeah. All right. So like I said, I was a little unprepared. Yeah. But I do have like, you know, I have like a text document on my phone that I like will put things into.
Right.
And I have three different in progress, like does it slap or should we eat it options, but all three of those only have two options right now. And I had one that I just filled in a third option before we were recording. I don't know if it's going to be nearly as good as the other ones. Yeah. And it's pretty dumb. It's just like something that maybe I thought about one day.
But I mean, the entire premise of this segment is dumb. That's the point.
Yes.
I think.
All right. So anyways, here we go. 1 second.
Here's my question for you. You've got to keep one and eat two. Pick one that slaps and the other two that drop. That's my question for you.
That's Shane from Prince Edward Island right there. I was surprised that Greg didn't know him. I just assumed.
They're just
especially
buddies.
when I found out that Greg lived on Prince Edward Island for a while. Like, don't you know Shane? Like, you guys are about the same age.
I mean, maybe they had run into each other. Maybe they've been in the same.
Did
place
I not make it
time.
clear? Shane the musician. And you're like, oh yeah, Shane the musician.
You know, I was thinking about so the other version of the song has like the glass shattering at the end.
Yes.
And that got me thinking, you know, like that makes me think of David Letterman.
Okay, yeah.
And, so
The great David Letterman.
where he would throw his pencils or his like top 10 list like through the windows behind him, and it would be the glass shattering sound, right?
Yes.
Is that like the birthplace in a way of like a soundboard?
Oh, I
You
don't
think?
I mean, I won't be so.
But I mean, that is because, you have like soundboards being used like online a whole bunch. And that like basically comes down to like, I wonder if.
I mean, I
probably
feel
not the
more like
birthplace
that's
of it, but I mean, did it popularize like the idea of a
I mean,
soundboard?
maybe. I think that goes all the way back to the days of like old time, like pre-television radio when you had radio shows. It'd be like some detective show, and you had the actors, then you also had the sound guy over on the side having to like make different noises and whatnot, which they still do
Right.
on like Prairie Home Companion, if you ever listen to that.
But I mean, like as a comedy aspect.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. So anyways, here's my my does it slap or should we eat it? These have nothing to do with anything we talked about tonight.
That's fine.
Or today.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking about like physical like objects or like games.
Okay.
So I have Simon, which is Simon is the one where it's like
Yeah,
the
I know
lights
Simon,
flash
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you.
What
have to
was? Do you
repeat the
remember?
pattern.
Because remember, Radio Shack used to sell a knockoff Simon. I can't remember what that one
Right.
was called.
Well, they have a new Simon. I mean, they sell Simon now still. Like, I mean, like not Radio Shack, but like Target has like new versions of Simon.
I always sucked at Simon.
Yeah, for some reason, for someone who has a good memory.
Yeah.
In that moment, it's a lot. It's pretty difficult.
You remember Pocket Simon? There was the little one that it just had like the little LED lights on it and then little buttons next to it, so you could like play Simon on the go.
And that's, I mean,
Because the one in the commercials was cool because it was like the size of a Frisbee, and had those big
Right.
light up buttons that you'd push. There was, also portable handheld Simon.
okay. So we have Simon.
Yeah.
We have Rubik's Cube.
All right. Also terrible at Rubik's Cubes.
And this is the one that I couldn't think of anything else, and it's Connect 4. But the difference is Connect 4 doesn't really work as much as I wanted it to, because Connect 4 is something you got to play with another person, but the other two you can play by yourself.
Well,
So I
then,
was trying to think of something like a third option that was
right.
as iconic as Simon and Rubik's Cube, and I could not find or think of anything
Yeah.
in the couple of minutes I spent on this before the show.
Now you got me trying to think of something. But I mean, I'll tell you right off the bat. I mean, it's ironic because I'm, someone that normally prefers my, I enjoy my alone time and I'm more introverted, but I absolutely would keep Connect 4. Connect 4 also, that's the only one out of all those that I ever owned back in their day. Like I have a Rubik's Cube now just to sit on a shelf and be like a little 80s relic or whatever. But like I've always been way too stupid to do Rubik's Cube. And, once you got to like 5 beeps on the Simon, I was already kind of done. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, Connect 4 had those cool commercials on TV. I remember that's probably what made me want to buy Connect 4. I remember I used to play that one with my Nana.
Okay, so I mean, so you're going for the one though that you play with another person.
Yeah. But I mean, you go to like, go to like a brewery or something now, and they'll have, oftentimes maybe there's like a shelf with board games, and there'll always be a Connect 4 there.
What if I was to throw in Jenga into there?
I think I had Jenga at one point. I was never that into Jenga.
Have you ever played one of those gigantic Jengas though?
No, but I know what you're talking about. But I
mean, that's like a whole.
I think part of it for me is like Jenga is like frustrating because like I wouldn't be playing that from the perspective of like trying to win so much as just like that's almost like a 2-player co-op game to me. Like I'd rather like let's play Jenga, but let's see how tall we can make this thing. Yeah. And then when you end up being the one that screws it up, then I'm just going to be frustrated with you. I'm not going to be happy that I won,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so still Connect 4 then.
Yeah. But yeah,
All
I don't
right.
know. I don't know what would be a good third option if you were trying to go for like single player non-video games.
Yeah, time killers, like our time wasters.
Yeah. You know something I used to love playing? I don't know. This sounds like so stupid, but I had this little Radio Shack. It was a slot machine, a handheld slot machine, but it wasn't like digital. Like it was mechanical.
Really?
Like it was spring loaded, so you'd pull the thing, and it wasn't like like it was pretty flat. It was like something you could put in your pocket, but you could pull the things and then push the little buttons down to stop the rollers. But I mean, it didn't keep any kind of cumulative score because it didn't have the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. And
it's just like a little time waster.
Yeah,
you just do it.
Yeah, but I don't remember even where I got that. But I was a huge Radio Shack kid when I was a kid, and I loved that little thing.
Yeah.
Plus, like I said, I was pretty stupid as I am now, and so like that was more at my level, my intelligence level. Was,
you just want to like pull the lever or hit the button.
Yeah.
And like have it do everything for you.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, speaking of that, is like I remember that I lived in a lot of houses growing up. We used to move a lot. Mm-hmm. And like I remember the house that we lived in when I had that thing. And sometimes I like looking on Zillow for like either houses I used to live in or maybe houses that friends of mine houses that I spent time in as a kid,
Yeah. Because you can like see what they look like now.
Well, because sometimes they'll be like interior. If the house has gone up for sale recently, and no one's taken them down, a lot of times there's interior pictures, and it's crazy. That house, I lived in that house like 85, 86, 87, so a long time ago, and that house must have sold semi recently, and so there's a bunch of interior pictures up there. And it hasn't changed. I don't think they even changed the carpets since I lived there. It's crazy.
That is kind of cool, though.
It is.
I'm Facebook friends with even though I've never spoken to them, the people that bought my mom's house.
Yeah.
And I never spoken to either of them, like in person. But I did. I sent them a friend request on Facebook just because I say, I used to live there. And, I just like to see what they've done to, like, the house that I grew up in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's pretty wild. Like, I wonder if people that, they used to live in this house feel that same way when we, like, cut down this, like, ugly, like, tree that was in front of the house.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I can't believe they did that. Like, they like knocked down like a bunch of walls in my old house, but they keep like there's certain things that are still there, like the kitchen counter is still the same and all this other stuff. So,
if like a family showed up at your house and just said, "Hey, we just used to live here," and
can I look around?
Yeah.
Would I let them? I would absolutely let them.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm going back to when I go to Akron. For work in a couple weeks. I'm the next day I'm going to Erie, Pennsylvania for another show that I'm working at. And then, Erie, Pennsylvania is like 45 minutes from my hometown.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to go there and like hang out with my friend Chris, who we're going to have on this podcast at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just going to like hang out there for a day or two or something. And I was thinking about going to the house and being like, hey, I used to live here. Can I come inside? But at the same time, I'm kind of scared to like look inside.
Yeah.
Is that, you kind of don't want to see it. But I would absolutely let somebody come in here.
Because you'd be upset if they changed it a lot, or?
I wouldn't be upset if they changed a lot. I don't blame them for changing a lot. It's just the idea of, this is the place that I experienced this. I remember sitting here and this is, it's just like, I don't know. It's the same thing with like a lot of like the old games that I have. Like this, I can't get rid of it and get another one. It's like, it's the exact one that I grew up with. It's like, this is the place that I have these memories of being right here, like feeling this way or something. But I wonder if it'd be good for my memory. Like if I would remember a lot of stuff.
Maybe. I mean, that might be just like an emotionally intense experience, though. Like a lot of memories flooding back. I I don't know if I'd want to do that or not.
I've thought about it though. Maybe I would. Maybe I'll send her a message on Facebook and say, "Is it okay if can I stop by?"
Yeah, I think if you just say, "Can I stop by?" then it's obvious. You know, if you say, "Hey, can I come in your house and look around? Can I lay in your bed?" Like that might creep them out. But since you're already friends on Facebook, I think if you just reached out and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in town in a couple weeks. Like, would it be okay if I stop by?"
Yeah.
You know, and plus that way you're not springing it on them. Like, "Hey, I'm here." Because that's not really cool.
You know, I'm going to do that.
You should.
I'm going to do that.
I highly recommend that you do that. Reaching out ahead of time.
Well, I mean, I just doing that in the first place.
Yeah.
Or just going there. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I will reach out ahead of time.
Yes.
But I'll also, just the idea of going there. Because
yeah,
I've only been back to my hometown a couple of times. Like once my mom moved away, there was not as much of a reason for me to go back. Because
sure.
Like my immediate family is no longer, like my entire immediate family is no longer there.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know how that goes.
Please do. Yeah. All right. Well, it's probably time to. I know you went 2.5 hours with Brady last week.
Yeah, it was unintentional. I didn't even understand how it went 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but
it did.
We should probably wrap it up. But on the way out the door, I'm going to give you, and by extension, anyone listening, an album. It's not even really an album. I don't know what you want to call it. It's an album, I guess. Recommendation. I just bought it. So I don't really understand the whole backstory with this. Apparently, like back in the 70s, some research came out suggesting that like houseplants responded to music.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard this.
And so then people started making albums that specifically were like, this is music for your plants.
Okay.
Well, it was just super. I mean, research or no research, that sounds pretty gimmicky to me. But I do actually have an album that's like music for plants or something because I got it for a couple bucks and it's just like a stupid thing to buy. But there was this album that originally just got pressed into vinyl back in the 70s that I guess now is pretty valuable. Like it's over $100 just because at the time the only way to get it. It's called Mother Earth's Plantasia. So like Fantasia, but Plantasia. Haha. The only way to get it, two ways to get it, were either you had to go to the store called Mother Earth in LA, which is a plant store, and you could get it there, or they had some kind of deal with some mattress company where if you bought a mattress, it came with a copy of this album. But at some point, some other company like bought the rights to it, and like they repressed it on vinyl. They re-released it, or they released it for the first time on CD, which is how I got it. But it's also on like all the streaming services. So and it's pretty cool, Plantasia.
I mean, it sounds like something my wife would play for the plants.
I'm not even talking about plants. I'm just saying it's cool. It's like it's from the 70s when like people were starting to use Moog synthesizers to make like this kind of crazy electronic, because like the whole album was made using a Moog, and so it like has that cool early electronic Moogy sound. I thought it was. I put it on and I was like, man, this is, because I put it on streaming and I was like, dude, this is cool. Can I get this on CD? And yes, you can. So I did.
Okay, I will see if it's on Apple Music and add it.
Yeah.
I don't have any recommendations.
Well, that's fine. I mean, it's not a competition though. It's just.
I mean, I think it's cool to like recommend stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been, neck deep in that new Zelda game.
Right.
Like recommend that to anybody who's, the 5 people out there listening to this that is not playing that.
Now, if you load up that Zelda game, do you have to agree to like 4 different terms and conditions documents?
Yeah,
or does it just play?
They're like, they ask for a lot of personal information that Nintendo is specifically saying we are going to sell this to advertisers. They ain't got nothing to lose, so they just ask it straight up.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
Next time when we record the next one, I'm going camping this weekend.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
going camping with the kids tomorrow, and we're going kayaking on Saturday.
Kayaking!
We're doing like a big kayaking a trip. We're taking the dog and everything.
That's awesome.
Apparently, we got the dog a life vest.
Oh yeah, you should.
that has a shark fin on it. Apparently.
Oh, nice.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
My dog's life vest has a shark fin on it.
You get when you go camping, you get like, you rent a trailer or you sleep in a tent?
We got a tent.
Good.
It's like a big tent, and it's like on a campground. There's like other people around, and there's like, it's, I don't really know what to expect, but it's like on the Little Miami River, which is like, a bit north of here, but not.
Yeah.
I've gone kayaking on this river before, but this is the first time we're doing kayaking and camping, and we're going tomorrow, and we're going to be gone all day on Saturday, come back Sunday morning.
Nice.
And then we have like free tickets to a Reds game.
Oh, nice.
So a baseball game, like as soon as we get back from camping. I'm kind of excited because I've heard about like the whole, like, I've heard a lot of people say that the pitching clock makes it a lot more fun.
Well,
like
it's just like it tightens up the game, right? It's like you can't be hanging around forever adjusting this and doing that. The games have definitely sped up. And I've been watching. That's another thing I did a lot of while I was sick is I watched, I watched the Giants game like every single day. So, and it definitely, it's not like all of a sudden games are 60 minutes long, but that was one of people's main complaints about baseball is just how slow it is. And it had definitely gotten slower, right? People were definitely wasting more time either in the batter's box or up on the pitcher's mound. And that pitch clock has really helped with that.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm excited about it because I haven't been to a game since they implemented that, and I think, I'm not even a big baseball fan. Yeah. But I like the experience of it, and I think that one of the things that's kept me away from wanting to go so much is that experience it can be a pretty long, drawn out.
Oh yeah.
Day.
Yes.
And if they can condense that down to like 2.5 hours,
I'd say that's. I don't know what the average is, but that's what I feel like.
Yeah,
that sounds about right for how long baseball games that don't go into extra innings. I feel like they're taking about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun day out. That's not going to be the only thing on your schedule for that day.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah,
in the next one.
Cool.
And we should come back. When I was driving, you sent me a message asking me like what my baseball walk-on song would be. So we should revisit that question in a more public forum in the next episode.
Yes, although that's not a question I asked you because I had a good answer. So
well, now you can think about it though.
All right, I'll try. I'll come up with something.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Well, you've been listening to episode 31. The Baskin Robbins episode of Here's My Question for You.
Is that 31 flavors or something?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it called that somewhere? Like here, it's always been called Baskin Robbins, but their whole thing is they have 31 flavors of ice cream. But then some people refer to the place as 31 flavors.
Oh,
so I don't know if it's like a Carl's Jr. / Hardee's kind of thing or what's going on. But
I feel like 31 flavors, like
it's a lot of flavors.
It's a lot of flavors, but it's not particularly impressive anymore.
I don't know. You don't think so? I'm trying to think like when I go into most ice cream shops, I don't think they have that many. I still feel like 31 flavors is a pretty good amount. But that's going to be relative to wherever you live and what kind of ice cream places you have available to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got graders here, which I'm not sure if they have 31. Maybe they do. I don't know. I just know it's really expensive, and I don't like. You
should call them. Like call them up today and just be like, how many flavors do you have there? Do you know?
Do you have more than 31?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we have more than 31.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Ask them if they think that 31 flavors is particularly impressive.
Yeah.
Is an impressive number.
Well, you should go into a Baskin Robbins and ask them that.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that in this day and age,
2023 is 31 flavors like that impressive?
Yeah. With inflation and whatnot, and like everything that things are getting big. Like a cup of soda is bigger than it used to be. A hamburger is bigger than it used to be. Like, do you really think that 31 flavors after all these years is anything all that great?
And out of those 31, like how many of those are actually even good? How many of those?
Right. Because one of those is like bubble gum, and that's disgusting.
Yes.
So that doesn't even count. Now you're down to 30 already. One of them's vanilla, which vanilla ice cream is an ingredient in things. It's not something that
I do love vanilla ice cream, and
you'll just eat vanilla ice cream just like Bear.
Yeah.
To me, that's like psychopath stuff. That's like eating plain yogurt, just like out of the container.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like plain vanilla ice cream, but you know, if I'm in a position to make a choice, I will put rainbow sprinkles on it.
But does that add anything aside from the
No.
visual?
No.
Like,
No,
I'll
but
take
I mean-
vanilla ice cream. Like, give me some hot fudge and some chopped peanuts and a cherry or something at least. But other than that, like vanilla ice cream, no, thank you.
I'll take it by itself.
All right.
But I'll put rainbow sprinkles on it, just so I can say it's not straight up
Right.
vanilla. Anyways, this is episode 31. We'll see
Yeah.
you next time.
Yeah.